Today, we're diving deep into a conflict that has set the entire Middle East ablaze. And look, this isn't another proxy skirmish or a simple border dispute. No, this is a full-blown war with huge global implications. And it all kicked off with one single, earth-shattering event.
This was the headline that just stopped everyone in their tracks. On March 1st, 2026, the impossible happened. Iranian state media confirmed that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in a direct military strike on Tehran. This was the moment years of shadowboxing just exploded into open warfare.
But here's the thing, a strike of this magnitude, it doesn't just happen out of the blue. It's the climax, right? The explosive finale to years of rising tension, back-channel maneuvers, and crumbling alliances. So the big question is, how'd we get here? How did a 2.5-year shadow war end with the assassination of a head of state? Let's break it all down.
To really get a grip on how this all happened, we've got to go back a bit, because this wasn't a sudden explosion. It was more like a slow, calculated dismantling of the entire power structure in the region.
You can see it right here. It's like a trail of dominoes. It all really lit up in October 2023, with the Hamas attack and the Gaza war. That just ignited everything. Iran's proxies, groups like the Houthis in Yemen, they jumped in, messing with global shipping. Then, fast forward to late 2024, and you've got a massive war between Israel and Hezbollah that just decimates Iran's most powerful ally. Each one of these events was another step up the ladder of escalation, leading straight to that joint U.S.-Israeli campaign in March 2026.
And that campaign has a name. A name that, honestly, captures the scale and the sheer intensity of it all perfectly.
Operation Epic Fury. So, according to the White House, this thing was designed to be a precise, overwhelming assault. And the goals they stated were crystal clear. Take out Iran's nuclear threat for good, and completely dismantle what they called Iran's global terror networks.
And the impact on Iran's leadership? It was immediate and absolutely catastrophic. The names you're looking at here, these are just some of the top-tier figures taken out in the first few hours, starting with the supreme leader himself. But it didn't stop there. The defense minister, the chief of staff, the IRGC commander, key advisors, gone. This was, for all intents and purposes, a decapitation strike. It went right for the very heart of the Iranian regime.
But wars aren't just measured in military leaders. According to reports coming out of Iran, this number, over 100, is a civilian death toll from just one U.S.-Israeli strike on a girls' elementary school in the city of Minab. It's a really stark reminder of the devastating human cost of all this.
Facing what it saw as a threat to its very existence, Iran's response was, it was immediate and it was overwhelming. They launched Operation True Promise 4, and with it, a barrage of missiles on a scale we've just never seen before.
The sheer scale of this counterattack was just staggering. Think about this. Within just a few days, Iran launched 89 separate attack waves against Israel. Not 89 missiles, 89 times waves. A relentless storm of ballistic missiles and drones, all designed to just completely overwhelm Israeli defenses.
And the impact inside Israel was severe. A direct missile hit on a building in Beit Shemesh killed 9 civilians. Another strike in Tel Aviv killed 1 person. These numbers really drive home the fact that civilians on both sides are being caught right in the middle of this brutal, escalating war.
And just like that, this was no longer a war between 2 or 3 countries. Very, very quickly, the entire Middle East was turning into a battlefield. Iran's offensive didn't just focus on Israel. They widened the battlefield, big time. They started hitting U.S. military bases all across the Gulf, a major airbase in Saudi Arabia. They even struck an oil tanker off the coast of Oman. And then came strikes on civilian areas in the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar. It pulled nearly all of America's key allies in the region right into the fight.
And those attacks, they came with a direct cost for the United States. A military statement confirmed that Iranian strikes on U.S. facilities resulted in 3 American soldiers killed and 5 seriously wounded. For Washington, this marked a very grave escalation.
The death of Khamenei basically became a rallying cry. After being quiet for more than a year following its last war with Israel, Hezbollah jumped back into the fray. They started launching missiles into northern Israel, all in retaliation for the assassination, and in doing so opened up a whole new front in this ever-widening war.
As with any war, the battle on the ground was being matched blow for blow by a battle for the narrative.
Both sides immediately got to work trying to justify their actions to the rest of the world.
And the competing stories couldn't be more different. On one side, you have the United States framing Operation Epic Fury as a necessary act of deterrence, basically a preemptive strike needed to crush a terror regime and kill its nuclear dreams. And on the other side, you have Iran painting itself as the victim of unjustified aggression, calling the attacks a war crime and a blatant violation of international law.
In the U.S., supporters of the operation were very vocal. This quote from Senator Lindsey Graham really sums up that perspective, framing the war as a huge win for global security by taking out what he called the mothership of terrorism.
But there was also a ton of criticism. The New York Times editorial board, for example, called the decision to go to war without getting approval from Congress reckless. They warned that it had echoes of the long, drawn-out conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. This really shows you just how deep the divide was over the war's legitimacy and the whole strategy behind it.
So where does that leave us? This quote from Renaud Mansour at Chatham House, I think it really hits the nail on the head. It doesn't matter which side you fall on. This is, without a doubt, a bloody, violent, but transformative moment. The old way of doing things in the Middle East, it's been completely shattered.
An old order shattered. And that leaves us with the final, deeply unsettling question. These days of fighting have completely transformed the region, wiping out old alliances and redrawing all the lines. The Middle East has been remade, sure, but into what? As this war continues to rage, the future of the entire region, and maybe even global stability itself, is hanging in the balance.